Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, a.k.a. the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group. Bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast. Marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week we have a special guest on with us that it's pretty crazy how the podcast has transformed into connections back all the way to high school. And Austin and I actually went to high school together, and he is now a tattoo artist here in Kansas City. We also have Ricky on from the MMG crew, Dre on from MMG. But thank you for being here today, Austin.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you came. And I think you have a pretty crazy story in the tattoo world and how far you've come. And I think it's been a road with a lot of things that you've overcome to get where you're at. And it's pretty cool to see what you've done and the progression to this point. And I think it's only going to continue. So let's start off on what got you into tattooing?
Spite. Parents kicked me out when I was 18 because I got my first tattoo. And then I bought a kit off Amazon. Started fucking people up in the basement.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Start was a little rough?
Yeah.
So they kicked you out because you got the tattoo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super traditional, conservative Christian.
Yeah. So what was the first tattoo you got that got you kicked out?
So when I was 18, got a girl pregnant. His name was Caden. Got his name tattooed on my chest. Turned out not to be my kid. So now I got some random dude's name on my chest.
What?
Not where I saw that going.
Yeah, actually, I did not see that going there. How long did you have that until you found out it was your
A couple
kid?
weeks.
Oh, man.
So is that one of your parents' like I told you so moments? Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was their favorite one.
It probably was.
That's a pretty good one, I feel like.
Yeah. So when you buy an Amazon tattoo kit and you say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna start doing tattoos." What did that look like when you started?
That can't be the best equipment, is it?
Picture staph infection in
Yeah.
your head, and that's what it looked like. You know, one of those fold-out card tables.
Yeah.
One of those, yeah. Boiling metal to sterilize it.
Trust me, it's good.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I saw when you first got into it, and there was some rough work out there. And I look at the stuff that's out there now, I'm like, holy shit. Like, the work that you have, we were just talking before the podcast started, and we're talking about, like, trying to get in to even get a tattoo by you, and like, yeah, I'm booking out next year. And it's how does that change? Like,
Fake it till you make it.
yeah?
Yep. It was 100% fake it till I made it.
So when you start off and you have tattoos, and it's like, I don't know how one gets into tattoos without messing up.
Yeah.
Like
That's a pretty good point. Not the easiest thing to practice, I would think.
I don't think you just start off tomorrow like, hey, bro, I'm like the best in fucking KC. I got my tattoo gun yesterday.
Straight off Amazon. Let's go.
Like I don't know, like what that looks like going into it.
Traditionally, you're supposed to be under like a mentor, and you're tattooing grapefruits and fake skins and stuff for like a year, and then you bring your friends in and practice on them for free for another year, and then you just slowly transition. Yeah. No, just dove in.
And you said, fuck that. I need the dough now. I'm just going to sell it.
Do it, yeah.
We're not going to do the grapefruit thing.
You know who's not paying you?
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit.
We're going straight to friends with skin.
Yeah.
They're paying. They don't get it for free.
If anybody's watching this, just know grapefruits do not pay. So you start off in the basement. Were you working another job when you were doing that?
I was working at Ford, yeah, the assembly plant.
Yep.
I did that for 3 years, and then I finally got an apprenticeship, and I was working at Ford from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m., and I was at the shop till midnight. I did that for about 6 months.
Ooh.
It's a couple hours.
Running on Adderall and Hope.
Yeah.
More so hope.
That should be that should be a brand name.
Yeah.
Adderall and Hope.
Yeah. You make shirts with that and sell them in the shop. That's what got me here. So when you're sitting here in the beginning, like I said, I saw some of the beginning work and it was rough. What made you say, hey, you know what, I want to keep pursuing this when everyone is fucking all over the place talking mad shit?
Never been a good employee.
Yeah.
I didn't like people to tell me what to do.
So you said, I'm going to figure this shit out.
Pretty much.
And how long was it till like that work really like kind of turned a corner? Was there like a kind of pivotal point?
It was after I lost the eye that I started giving a shit. And it became an I'll show you type thing, I guess. Mm-hmm. That was...
So what happened with the eye?
My mentor that gave me my license, we had a big falling out. And I went to a new shop when I quit, and he came in one night while I was drawing on my desk and hit me over the back of the head and then just stomped me out.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And so what did it... So can you see out that eye or...
Lights and shadows. That's about it.
And that's what I think is even crazier. That, I mean, I can't draw worth of shit with two eyes, let alone not being able to see out one of them real well. And then it's like something like... So when that happened, did you say, hey, I'm going to start... What does increasing on practicing look like? What changes that to say, hey, like, I don't have the best tattoos, to now I'm like, I'm a fucking baller in this space?
Giving a lot of shit away for free. Building your name back up.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
How long did that take?
About 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. Living off of ramen and deciding which utility to get shut off.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people miscount that middle ground of everyone sees someone right at the end where you're at now going,
Oh, that's easy.
yeah, he could, yeah,
Must
he
be
could, I
nice.
could do that. And then it's like, well, you didn't see like the 6-10 years before that, all the shit you had to go through to get to that point.
Absolutely.
I think they really discredit that part.
Yeah, no, it's the must be nice shit that drives me nuts.
Because you probably get quite a bit of that now.
Absolutely.
And I feel that there's a lot of people that try to get into the tattoo space. What percentage of people do you think probably fail trying to get in the tattoo space?
95.
Yeah, I feel like it's a pretty high number.
Yeah.
That I've seen a ton of people that, I do tattoos, and they start off the same kind of way. But the reason when we were talking about you coming on the podcast, you were one of those million people, but you turned it around to say, hey, that's not going to be how I'm defined with this. And you've built it into something of now putting out crazy work, competing in competitions. What does it look like competing in competitions for tattoos?
Just 3 days straight, about 10 hours each day, just pumping it out.
I didn't even know if that was a thing. So
Yeah.
is it like, are you doing one tattoo?
One tattoo over 3 days on the same person, yeah. Just one giant piece.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun to sit
And
through.
then there's, it sounds rough on their part. And then there's like a panel of judges, or what does that
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
And there's usually like 50 entries. You just go down the line.
That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like you're really underestimating this competition. Yeah, you just go in and knock it out. Is that it? Do you have to like qualify, or like how do you even?
There's
get
some
into it?
invite-only shows. Yeah. But then most of them are just anyone can go. Yeah.
It like half of them, it's just kind of like you aren't supposed to be here, and then the other half, it's like it's actually a competition.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So you have this platform that you sit on of having the luxury of not chasing work all the time, not having that crazy grind. I feel like you're still grinding in what you do, the day-to-day work.
Yeah.
But it's not like it was before. You're not
No.
thinking about what utility you're going to shut off or eating ramen. Now it's like,
It's not hope and Adderall.
yeah. Yeah. Now it's just Adderall.
Now you're eating ramen because it's good.
Yeah. See, sometimes there's nights that I sit in my living room and I'll eat ramen and I just think about being in college.
You put an egg in that shit?
No.
You put ham. No, put ham in it.
Cracking egg.
Ham.
Yeah.
I've heard the egg thing before. I haven't
Yeah.
tried it, but
Like, how do you cook that in there?
Boiling water, you just crack it in the boiling water. Stir it up with it.
You don't microwave yours?
Absolutely.
I only do them.
Look
in
at
the
me like
microwave.
I'm crazy. It's 4 minutes in the microwave.
Yeah. Best way to make ramen in the microwave. And then you get rid of all the water.
So you just eat really salty noodles.
Yeah, pretty much. with some sriracha on it. You'll thank me later. No, but there's times I sit and I look at when I was in college and I had no money.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different deal. Like, I was in college and I feel like I was doing something I wasn't wanting to do at the time. And it was something that parents pushed on us. And you're sitting there and you're like, I want to be out making money. And I'm eating ramen. I don't have gas to put in my truck. And it's like I'm riding around on a scooter because it's cheap. And it's like now I sit there and I'm like, I never even look at what it costs. People are like, what's it cost to fill up your truck? I'm like, oh, I'm like, I go there, I fill the fucker up, and I roll. I'm like, it's just like weird things like that you stop looking at. But I feel that that's just, and sometimes you have to be able to take a step back and say, like, look at how far I've come.
Absolutely.
And still looking at how far there is to go. So in the tattoo space, like, once you get to where you're at now, what does furthering on look like in the tattoo space?
Quitting, getting into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Boom! Yeah, that's... So are you, like, what does your real estate journey look like?
By 2025, I want to have $1 million in rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
That's first goal.
Yeah.
Then by 2030, if I want a tattoo, I can. If I don't, I don't.
So is there, like, a threshold that... I don't know. I know there's people that are coastal and shit like that. Is there a threshold that you break where tattooing is just too expensive?
The most I've seen people charge is like $3,000 a day.
Yeah.
I kind of would have thought it would have been more than that.
So, like, my thought process is, like, I have quite a few tattoos. Most of them can be covered up with a T-shirt, mostly. But it's like, my thought process is every single time I've had a tattoo, I haven't cheaped out one bit. Like, I feel like that is such a weird thing to cheap out on.
I got my whole chest done in a trailer park on a kitchen table.
For how much? It was a friend practicing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the best shit you've ever seen.
That didn't seem real reassuring.
I can't tell if he's being serious or not.
So do you have a game plan of getting your chest covered up? With
No, that shit hurts.
The chest does?
Yeah. It's awful.
I got that. I thought that was like the easiest one.
No. It's miserable.
Dude, the worst out of everything I got was when they did the inside here.
Bicep sucks.
The whole bicep wasn't bad. It's just when they get in your armpit, armpits gets a little tender in there.
Yeah.
How does a tattoo compare to a brand, though?
Brand is healing was a lot worse on the
The first week, not bad. You don't feel it at all.
You did that shit too?
Yeah.
we both have brands.
Play your cards right. We can get you tonight.
Yeah. Dude, I'll
You're
tell
going to
you.
be on Dane's table.
You guys need to start doing that at shop. There's not a place in Kansas City that does branding. And Texas, you can find a lot of tattoo shops that do branding.
So I think you can actually do the reverse of like a hot burn. You can do like a cold burn, right?
Yeah.
So there are people that are doing that now.
That doesn't hurt like at all.
I feel like that's kind of a
No,
pussy
Heals
way.
super fast.
It does hurt. I did see that. You're basically just getting third-degree burns.
But the thing is, like whenever you see somebody at a pool, they're just like, "Oh, you have a brand." It's not like, "Oh, how'd you get the brand?"
Yeah, but there's still the principle of when you got it. Like if somebody's like, yeah, and they ask the story, you're like, well, I had this cold brand thing done. I'd be like, oh, no,
It didn't even hurt.
Yeah.
It was
Like-
super cool.
Yeah. No, there's like, I feel like there's a weight that holds behind that. And that's what, when we came up with the idea, if you can tell, up behind there's a 4-foot long steel cattle brand that hangs above the TV.
Shipped straight from Tennessee.
And that was custom made for our branding. And it was one of those things when we thought about it, I was like, I asked Dre, I was like, you want to wear brands together? He's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. But it has meaning behind it, like with us, like, and that's all that matters. And I think it's the same thing with tattoos when a lot of times people are like, oh, tattoos, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, a tattoo is whatever it means to that person. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about any tattoo I have or my brand or anything. Like when I tell Mass I'm doing something, she's like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, she doesn't question me on it. And it's just like, it's my body. I decide if I want to brand it, if I want to do whatever. If I'm going to put myself through the pain, it's on me. And I think sometimes on tattoos, people over criticize it a lot. And I think it is an older generation that's kind of getting more accustomed to it, but I don't know if they fully are.
I also think that people shouldn't really. They don't have to have a reason for it. Like I feel like sometimes a lot of people are like, "Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean?" I'd assume you get that a lot. And it's like it's just if it looks cool.
No, I don't do the meaning stuff.
No, not. See, I'm a meaning guy. I went behind the meaning.
Fair enough.
Yep, to each their own. Ricky goes.
He's like everything you just said. None of it.
Yeah,
I don't like any of it.
Ricky said, "You're a fucking idiot." Like it doesn't need to be.
No, I think it's totally like both sides of it. Like if you want to have a meaning behind it, that could be really important to you and you get that. But also like if somebody just wants it because it looks cool, totally fine.
And that's 100%. Like I'm the first one not to judge anyone on what they want to do.
Hey, if I saw a tattoo that looked really cool that had no meaning, I might think about it. But I'd probably pay for the one. I'd pay more for the one with a meaning.
I think I'm going to pay whatever I have to just make sure it's good.
Yeah.
Like, and so now, what is it? What do you charge a day?
1,500.
1,500, and you book out what 3 or 6 months at a time?
6.
6 months at a time.
How long is the day?
10 to 6-ish,
Okay.
depending, yeah.
So, when did you flip over to like that model, not going to like walk-in stuff and actually
Second, I came to Black Card. I came in there. I was charging like $100 an hour, paying $125 a week for booth rent, and so I, without telling the people there, I quit my other job at the other shop I was working at, changed my Facebook to works at Black Card, and everyone in there was like, "No, you fucking don't." I was like, "Yeah, I do."
I rent a booth.
Yeah.
And they go, "Okay."
Okay, actually, you do.
Well, we charge $500 a week, and I was like, "Oh."
Gotcha.
I'm charging $100 whatever an hour, and so I immediately just flip flopped to I started $1,000 a day, and I was just burning through my savings, paying the booth rent because I didn't have the clientele for it, and it caught up with itself.
So then how'd that transition over? He just left us hanging. He said, "Caught up."
Fake until I made it.
I was out of fucking money.
Fake. I was.
Where are we at now? That was yesterday. So what was that like? When did you start acquiring that clientele where people just like they had to hear about you somehow? They
It took about a year of me giving shit away for free, larger scale stuff,
Yeah.
doing whatever I wanted to do, and then it caught up with itself, and people actually started paying me.
That's always good. Yeah.
It's got to be a nice feeling.
And the funny thing is, I feel tattoos are so similar to like the creative space and like what we do in marketing that we find like freelancers all the time that can't break through the threshold of getting people to actually pay them. And like, no one wants to pay us. I'm like, yeah, because you do everything for fucking free.
Yeah.
So when you get a referral, they're like, hey, this dude did this video for fucking free. You should call him up. It's like same thing. So it's like, it's hard when it's like, oh no, like that's going to be $1,500 for you. And then they're like, oh no, I don't actually want it.
I liked it when it was free.
Yeah. Free sounded a lot better. So I think that's I
got a lot better at selling myself rather than just tattoos. Like, hey, I'll feed you during.
I'll buy you a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's a full service.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're there all
you
day.
come in, you get a tattoo, and you get a sandwich.
Yeah.
Do you get water?
No.
No.
No water.
not.
You're gonna.
I
That's
haven't
gonna be a
drank
dry
water
ass
in 8
sandwich.
hours.
No
I mean, a
fucking
dry ass sandwich.
You're gonna eat that sandwich. You're gonna be like,
The more you drink, the more you have to get up and pee, and
Yeah.
it just slows everything down.
So when someone comes in, say somebody wants to get out a tattoo that takes 4 hours,
Yeah.
they still book a day.
$1,500.
I think that business model is like phenomenal. Like when I had majority of my stuff done by there's only one guy in Black Card with you, correct?
Yep.
So Brady, that's in there next to you, actually did a lot of my stuff. I didn't even know you worked there at that time. So I come in, I walk in, I'm like, hey, Austin, what's up, dude? And I hadn't seen you since, I mean, I'm trying to think of like when we'd probably seen each other before that.
2012?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably. Like high school. So I walk in and we actually chatted quite a bit when I was getting my tattoo and things like that. And Brady had that same structure that I'd found him on Instagram. I thought I was just going to text him up and be like, hey, bro, I want to come get my fucking arm done next week. And I texted him. He's like, yeah, my bookings open up at the end of next month. I'm like, come again? I'm like, I'm willing to pay. Like, I'll pay. And he's like, yeah, and so will everyone else. I was like, okay, this is different.
Yeah, get in line, buddy.
Yeah, so then he messaged me the day before it opened up. He's like, hey, it's opening tomorrow. And I sent him pictures of everything. I'm like, how long will this take? He's like, it'll take at least 2 or 3 days. So, like, I booked out all my days the next morning. And Madison's like, is this really how this works? I'm like, yeah, I guess to go to somebody good, it is. He puts on his Instagram like 2 hours later, fully booked for the next 6 months.
Is that how the process usually works for like all tattoo shops that are like at that level?
At that level, there's not many that do it like that. No, most of it is you come in and you talk with a person, and you put a deposit down, and you can come in a couple months or something. Okay. And then you have walk-in shops too that get you in right then and now after they're done smoking meth.
That's free of charge.
But, yeah.
So that kind of answered the question I was going to have.
Yeah.
Are they full service? Because it sounds like they are.
Yeah.
You get tattoo and meth.
Yeah, no sandwich for you. You get drugs instead. So when you, like, once again, I think that business model is phenomenal what you do. How do you turn, like, how much clientele do you turn away for, like, walking and people, like,
Constantly.
just all day, every day?
9 out of every 10 that get turned away, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you be that 10th?
Well,
What does it take?
You booked.
You let me do whatever I want. That's, yeah.
Just kind of like, hey, I'm drawing, you're
Yep.
paying,
Yep.
let's go.
So when somebody comes to you with an idea of a tattoo, like, how much free reign do you have on, like, what they're doing?
I've transitioned more into they don't have any ideas. They just like my style. Mm-hmm. And they just come in and like, yeah, put it on.
Which it is something that I do think that, like, as I've looked more through your Instagram and things that you're posting, there is a style that's starting to, like,
That's, yeah.
kind of take place that it's very unique. That if I saw somebody at a bar or something and it had some tattoo that had some color and it had that, like, line through it or something, I'd be like, Austin did that. Like,
That's the goal.
and I feel like there's so many tattoo artists that never find that, like, kind of hit that it's like, and I think it's just niching down into anything that you do. And I feel like you're niching into a spot that it's like, people like this. Like, it's catching on, but it's also something that no one else, I feel like, around here has done. I may be wrong other places,
Yeah.
but I feel like it is a unique look.
That's the goal, yeah.
Yeah,
Do
I
something.
feel like I got to look it up.
Dude, I'm telling you that you
I'll
start
look it
looking
up.
through it, there's a look to what it's.
I've started doing more back-to-back days, and I started one today that she's coming back in tomorrow morning to finish it.
So what made that look like? What was the inspiration of saying, hey, I wanted to kind of, I feel like it's a very translucent kind of look with a 2-color palette a lot of times that.
Like the yin and the yang.
No, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what I'm talking about, quite frankly. But it's,
You're doing great.
I'm trying to think of, like, it's just, it looks so different. And I don't know, like, what did you do? Like, I want to start, like, stacking these. And
So I'm gonna screen record on my phone, and then we can just overlay it over the video if you're watching on YouTube. But I feel like it would kind of be a little bit of a disservice if we didn't show people what we're talking about here.
But, like, that right there, it's like, I think that looks very unique, like that.
That looks incredible.
Like, what made you look at something like that and say, hey, I'm going to, like, stack this and do it that way?
I ate a bunch of
not even mine.
mushrooms one night, and I started playing on the iPad and doing like fucking 4 and 7 eyes on stuff, and I was like, "This is kind of cool."
That's awesome. So that's actually how that.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing.
Oh, awesome.
Maybe more tattoo artists should do mushrooms.
I'm
Like,
like guessing quite a few do.
So how did that come out? Like, designing of that?
It's a good question. That was like a year and a half ago.
Like, I don't remember.
I don't know.
Like, there's one that sticks out to me the most. Like, I thought that one was pretty sick, but where'd it go? There's one that, like, that one.
So she came in at 10, in the morning, and I started doing that at like 8:30. It's just whatever my brain goes at the time, pretty much.
I feel like it's very unique that like someone's brain, like how different humans are, that I would never picture something like that in my wildest dreams to be able to draw that out,
It's never a full like image that I see, you know. It's just I start stacking shit on top of each other and it comes together.
So do you start going and then it's like, oh, I messed up, and then you just like roll it into something else?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So do you think it was more when you started like actually doing what you felt that you were seeing that tattooing got better?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, okay, they gave me a rose, I got to try to make it.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel that a lot of times tattoo artists end up in this spot that when people look at tattoos, they look up on Google and they start looking at like the most famous tattoo people ever. And they're like, I want this. And then they come in and they're like, oh, well, it didn't look like that. We also found the cheapest dude around to try to give you that.
Yeah, the whole reason I quit.
Cost.
Yeah.
The whole reason I quit my job was I didn't want to do what I was told. I want to do whatever I want and make money. It worked out.
It's always a plus.
But it took about 9 years of wrong.
It wasn't an overnight thing.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So when did you start with Black Card?
A month before the COVID shutdown.
Got it. Okay. Hey, that's about the same time MMG started.
Yeah.
So where were you before that?
816 Tattoo down in Westport.
Okay. I'm not crazy familiar with all the shops.
No, it's a walk-in shop.
Yeah. So where you were all the walk-in stuff there. How vastly different is your business at Black Card than it was there?
Night and day.
Night and day?
No.
Is clientele different? Do you think when you go to the day-to-day?
There's a totally different caliber of person that comes from what our shop does compared to other like street shops do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I was about to say something, but it was going to sound stupid. I'm like very amazed with the tattoo industry in general. Like, I feel like as simple as it is, it's super complex in so many different ways of how when you go into a McDonald's, a Burger King, a Taco Bell, like their processes and everything looks so similar that it's like a very dialed in like industry. That I feel like tattooing, you walk into 20 different tattoo shops and they're ran like 20 way different ways. And it's like, it's just whatever that owner feels like running that shop. So does Black Card actually have an owner?
Russell James was the one who opened it. When he died, his parents kept the lease, just keeps our lights on, and we send them our booth rent every month. And they live in a different state, so they have no influence, no anything to do with us.
That's pretty cool that they did that.
Yeah,
keeping the lease, and I think you guys are in a prime location. And so when did he pass?
I think it's been 5 years now.
5 years?
5 years, yeah.
And I mean, you guys have taken that over, and it's pretty cool that you guys can run a shop at that level in a location that's like that prime of real estate with just two people.
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts. That I feel like most shops are in like some sketchy ass
Yeah.
strip center somewhere, and there's like 20 people tattooing in there trying to make ends meet one way or another.
Russ was the best businessman. There wasn't supposed to be any like tattoo shops, vape shops, anything like that in Zona. And it took him a year of just hounding the owners, be like, hey, I'm going to move in here. And they finally let him and agreed to it.
So are they on some astronomical long lease?
10 years.
So with that, it's just you two guys. Have you guys looked at inviting more individuals in that are your guys' caliber, or
We don't invite anyone. It's if someone wants to come to us, we'll entertain the idea. But in 3 years that I've been there, no one's even asked.
Really?
Nope.
Is there anyone in this area that you would say is at that level?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few.
I think there's definitely some
There
players
is.
in the space,
Yeah.
and I feel like they kind of stand on an area of their own. But I think also in that business, I think it's very much like real estate in the aspect of a great agent's a great agent at any brokerage. And it's the same thing. A great tattoo artist is a great tattoo artist anywhere they decide to have a booth. That somebody that's phenomenal at tattooing can set up a spot in their basement and absolutely kill it. There's going to be some logistical problems there, but realistically, if they wanted to do that, they could.
Yeah.
Like, and people that have the work, like if I found somebody that just has baller ass work and they're like, hey, I tattoo on my basement, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I think 99% of people would be like, I'm not super tight on where the location is. And I think they're going for that work.
Yeah, I think it goes back to creating your own brand and following.
That's a lot of what it is.
So I do feel like you've went a lot more into like brand building and like your social media presence, and like you're very active on social media. I feel like that's kind of what blew Brady up also.
Absolutely. You have to be.
And it's like, it's funny when I talk to business owners that like don't even believe in social media yet. And like the whole world's crumbling down around them.
It doesn't matter what you do. There's a million other people that do the exact same thing. And people aren't going to know you unless you make them know you.
Yeah. And we talk about exposure levels all the time and like what it takes to get in front of people. And I get on Instagram all the time and see new tattoos you've done. And the funny thing is you post content and you're like, I don't even remember on that. That was from a year and a half ago. Like content can be old and it still works.
Yeah.
Like
It does.
Good content just is good content.
Yeah, I could have been looking up at maybe Kansas City tattoos or something like that. I came across that, or maybe a friend shared something, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And you're going to walk in, he's going to be like, no, that's not what I want.
That might be what you want, but this is what you need.
And then you're going to like his 10 times better.
Where would you, where's like the most common area for tattoos?
I do arms and legs. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah. I don't do torsos, necks, anything like that.
No, you just don't do them?
No.
Not even for like
Dre?
right price.
Why is that?
I can't. So I have to be 2 inches away from anything to fucking see it. And so it's just hard to get to for me, unless it's an arm or a leg.
So if you were doing my neck, it'd be like you're sniffing me the whole time?
Yeah. I'm on your shit.
You've been sweating so long. You're starting to smell like shit, bro.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you think, did your eye ever affect anything tattooing or?
Oh, yeah. I don't have depth perception. So I can't physically see like where the needle is, you know? So I had to learn it by how it feels.
What do you mean how it feels?
How it feels? I don't know.
Like, I would assume, like, the resistance that comes back from the...
Yeah. I could feel it in my hand.
Yeah.
And you know what's even crazier is like, I feel the difference between great tattoo artists now and not great tattoo artists is depth perception in tattoos. That I feel so many people put tattoos on somebody that is all 2D and it has no depth to it. And I think that is something that, I mean, you and Brady both do it phenomenal. That's what made me choose him, is like you look at a tattoo and it looks 3D almost.
It's almost scary.
Yeah, it's like, but it has that depth to it. So you saying you don't have depth perception is like crazy because
Tattooing's fucking easy.
oh yeah,
You just
Yeah.
it's just easy, just fucking cake, dude.
you see the color and you do the color. It's coloring.
I wasn't good at coloring.
Yeah, I wouldn't say tattooing is easy. I would say anybody can tattoo probably,
Yes.
but it's the same thing. That there's a lot of people that drive. That doesn't mean there's a lot of great drivers. There's a lot of shitty drivers on the road. So it's the same kind of deal. There's a lot of people, and like, I'll say this day over day, there's people that are small business owners and there's entrepreneurs. They're two different things. There's people that own a business their whole life that they're never a great business owner. And they're like, I've owned a business for 30 fucking years. And you still struggle every single day. Like, wouldn't it have been easier to save all that stress and just work for some of your whole life? Like, but it's some people just like, it's the same kind of deal that there's people that are good at something and there's people that aren't. And there's a lot of people that tattoo. That doesn't mean there's a lot of great tattoo artists. And having you on, I wouldn't have a tattoo artist on here that if somebody watched this, they're like, I want to go to that fucking dude. Like, people watching this, they check out your work. Like, you have phenomenal work.
Yeah.
So it's
not like they get on there going,
this dude's kind of rough. But there's also like different styles of tattooing. And there's some things that certain people are looking for that people specialize in. That there's certain things I feel like you don't do. And what is it?
Anything traditional. I do strictly surrealism and realism.
Which I feel like that's really hard to get in, like to
It's
hit
a niche
correct.
market.
Yeah.
So when you say that, like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, realism is just you take a picture of something, that's realism. And then surrealism is if you take a picture of it and add 2 more eyes to it. It's realistic, but it's not real.
Okay.
It's the best way I can put it, yeah.
So what made you decide that was going to be your niche that you wanted in?
Shrooms.
Shrooms?
Yes, yeah.
It all circles back.
You know, the funny thing is, I watched a documentary. There's a documentary on.
Steve Jobs, right? LSD.
So he was in the documentary. I'm trying to think of what it was on shrooms, but it's like a whole docu-series on Netflix.
You were on shrooms while watching it, or the documentary series was on?
The documentary series on shrooms.
Or
It was about it.
So to be fair, I have never done shrooms, so I don't know. But when
allegedly.
no, for real. And when I was actually watching on a flight. I just downloaded all the documentaries, and one of them was on shrooms. I'm like, I wonder what this is going to be about. And then they started talking about like microdosing and like actually the benefits, and they were talking like Steve Jobs created Apple, like microdosing on shrooms all the time. I'm like, the fuck? I'm like,
There's a lot of research behind microdosing.
there's like a crazy amount of it.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I've brought it up to multiple people. They're like, what? I'm like, I'm not making this up. I'm telling you. I'm like, go watch this documentary. I was mind blown too.
Hey, Ricky said nicotine's good for you.
I said nicotine itself is not bad for you. It has a lot of benefits.
Okay, we're all ears.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist, but it's shown to help.
I am a scientist.
Zane's a scientist.
I don't feel like I should really say anything. Alex Hormozy said it's a good performance enhancement. I did look it up and I verified it, but I don't remember any of the technical sides of it. So
Yeah.
I can look. Maybe I'll drop it in the subtitles or something.
What were the benefits?
I'll just look it up.
He can't remember one.
We need somebody to be able to look stuff up.
I think. All right, Dalton's looking it up. We got him.
I
but
trust Dalton on this.
I'm
too.
telling you, if you watch that documentary, there's like tons of people, like huge tech people in the world that have like created something so different.
That's how a lot of them come up with the software.
Yeah.
Like the code. They'll sit there and microdose, and then they sit there and they're like, I see the code on how to create it. I'm like, what do you mean you see the code?
Yeah. That was definitely not the answer I was thinking I was going to get when I asked how you found that. I love it though.
But it works.
Yeah. So why do you want to get into real estate over tattooing all the time?
Because of my eyes, I know it's not going to be sustainable long term.
Makes sense.
That's about it. Just want to make money doing something that I don't have to do anything with.
Yeah.
So when you're retired, being a real estate mogul, what are you doing in your day to day?
Day to day,
Yeah.
bath salts and masturbation.
Man, I'm just getting caught off guard on all the answers.
Dre's like, oh, that's what I was getting to too.
I think he stole my answer.
Ricky's trying to go through this long list. I just don't think there's anything on it.
So there's a lot. So it's
Dalton had the answer.
well, it has them all in a question, I think, but it's 9 benefits of nicotine that may surprise you, and then it's asking a question, but that would imply that that's yes, it does do this thing. Treat Parkinson's,
Dalton has
or at least help with
Okay. None of us have Parkinson's.
cognitive enhancer, may help in fat loss, improves short-term memory, helps with ADHD, improves reaction time. Athletes say it improves performance.
Ask Dalton how well his cigarettes helped him on his hike in South Dakota.
It sounded like he was doing the best.
So the funniest thing, we were in.
I have a photo I can send Ricky and have it plugged.
Have it plugged. So
Old big text.
we're in South Dakota, and we get up, and Dre, Dalton, and Logan are hungover as you've ever seen 3 people hungover.
Dalton was fighting the night before in the
whoa.
hotel lobby.
That's
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
That's
my
a
bad.
whole different story. We're just getting to the smoking on the hike. And so we go out and we're doing like a 9-mile hike the next day up this mountain to this peak of whatever we were going to do. And halfway up, Dalton's like, we got to stop. And he pulls out his backpack, pulls out a cigarette, lights up his cigarette. And Dalton doesn't smoke cigarettes. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And bless you. And he's sitting there smoking this cigarette on the side of his mouth.
We're all three just confused. I'm like,
just no big deal.
I'm just thinking about what a good reel that would be.
no. And then the next day, we go to another hike where we're going to, it's called the Hippie Hole.
That's a whole podcast in its own. Don't start on the fucking hippie hole and come after me like that.
I wasn't going to come after you. I was going after Dalton right before we go on the hike. He's sitting there. He's searching through his backpack. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, man, I can't find my smokes. I'm like, what? And grabs that pack of cigarettes, light ones up. He's like, I'm like, you're doing that before our hike? He's like, yeah. I was like, my bad.
It was to improve his endurance. Maybe I'll smoke cigarettes before I run this half marathon.
And then Logan took a shit on the woods.
So, Dre, what are you're spilling everywhere? Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we should call Dane out.
Yeah.
I think you should just do a whole separate podcast where you talk about South Dakota.
We probably could.
And we keep this one a little bit closer to tattoos.
Yeah.
I have an industry question, if I may ask it. Like over the decades of tattooing, like the history of it or whatever, are there any like big advancements that come along from a technology standpoint, or is it pretty similar to what it's always been?
Wireless. We have iPads, internet. Everything.
Internet in the 90s.
Yeah.
Remember that, Ricky?
Probably wasn't very useful.
They had the fucking internet.
The dial-up took a while to load.
What would you say your craziest tattoo you've ever given is?
It's like my most common question. I don't have an answer for it.
You don't have an
I
answer?
don't think I've done anything crazy.
Fake it till you make it. Give us a fake
Yeah.
answer.
You should have had some crazy ass.
I think the weirdest thing I did was the Tootsie Pop owl guy
Yeah.
right on top of a vagina.
That's a little weird.
It's only
Crazy
weird
as
because
God,
you have
yeah.
to be the 2 inches away.
Yeah. Making eye contact with it.
Was that before or after your eye?
After. Yeah, it was after the eye.
So there's like, smells a little funky.
See,
doesn't smell like a Tootsie
that's where
Pop.
Dre went too far. That's just doesn't know where to stop.
Are there any that you're like, that you're extra, I don't know if proud is the word, but like ones you really like personally that you've done?
Any of the ones that I've done best in show
Yeah.
at competitions in, that I've actually put a lot of effort into.
So when you go into the ones in competition, is that just kind of like, they're your canvas, you have free reign, do whatever you want?
Yeah.
And do people just volunteer, just be like, hey, use my body?
Yeah. I mean, I'll pay for their travel. I'll pay for their hotel and stuff. And they get no say in what they do.
But
Is
they
it
get
on
a
a
vacation and a tattoo.
Is it
That
on a
sounds like
certain
a good deal.
location always?
Either a thigh or an upper arm. Yeah.
Ricky, it's not really a vacation. It's like, hey, you're going to sit here and I'm going to stab
Yeah,
your
it's
needle
fucking
for 3
miserable.
That's a good point.
3 days back to back to back.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be rough.
So when people do back-to-back days, is their skin swollen the next day, so it makes it harder?
Oh, they're physically, mentally, emotionally wrecked.
So they're super pumped for their second day.
See, I don't feel like tattooing is as bad as a lot of people make it out to be.
It's not fun.
I don't
So
feel like it hurts that bad.
No, see,
It's awful.
That's what I disagree with.
What?
Everyone's like, oh, it doesn't hurt. I'm like, you're a liar. It doesn't feel good.
You feel it, like you know it's happening, but it's not like any sort of pain that's like, I feel like on a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like it's like a 5, maybe.
Nope.
I also disagree with that.
I'm going
I
to
don't
go
hold
with
my
his
own-
professional opinion because I think it would hurt.
I can sit for about 3 hours and I'm done.
Each time I've went, I think, did I go 2 or 3 times? I think I went 2 or 3 times to Brady. Each time he's like, do you want like do a full down, like sitting here? I was like, you tell me when you're done, I'm cool with it. And he's like, you'll sit here the whole time. I was like, yeah, 100%. I'm like, I'm fine with it. I was like, as long as I get a sandwich or something, which I ate Jimmy John's when I was there. I had to pay for mine.
I was going to say, did he buy it for me? Yeah.
Brady made me pay for mine.
Brady's built different. He's like, buy your own sandwich.
His book of business got big enough. He said, fuck the sandwich. The free sandwich is gone.
He said you're actually buying me a sandwich.
You got to pay me $1,500 plus a sandwich.
He's got to eat something.
Yeah, now he gets free lunch. No, but like I don't think it's that bad. Like I really don't. And I think a lot of people like really over. Like
It's the worst thing in the world.
I'm not gonna say it's the worst thing in the world.
It's pretty close.
I feel like a brand's way worse.
See, the brand for the
That's
first.
fair.
You know, I think you should try one and give us your feedback.
Yeah.
But also, it's like one's more acute, and then the other one's like more prolonged.
It's the
The brand hurts way longer.
Yeah, your first week doesn't hurt, but then for about
So
3
most
weeks,
people think about
while
just
it's
the
healing-
initial.
yeah.
Oh, is it like the healing process and everything?
Yeah. So every morning when you're in the shower and every night when you're in the shower and you're putting hydrogen peroxide on it, it's turning ice white.
What if you don't shower?
What?
What if you just don't
Well,
shower?
it's
Yeah.
the fact of when
That's-
it scabs, you know you have to rip the scab off so it scars.
Yeah.
So
That sounds terrible.
You're ripping the scab off, and then if you put gauze over it,
Doesn't work.
I did it for one night. I wake up in the morning, and I have a blood M on the gauze, and I try to pull it, and it's stuck. I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt. So you just rip it off. So you rip off this scab that's 4x4, 5x5, and then you're in the shower in the mornings, and then it's like water starts hitting that.
That sounds terrible.
A tattoo after you're done, like it just feels like you have a little bit of a sunburn.
After you're done, yeah, it's nothing.
But I feel like when it's happening, it's pretty light too.
Would you get another brand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we can actually turn his upside down, put a W on both cheeks.
No, I don't. But it's also one of those things that
It's gonna go wow.
I don't know. I think a lot of people look at pain differently, and I just don't think it's. There's probably certain areas that hurt more than others, but there's never been a time where I was like in a tattoo, like where I've ever even thought about like not being able to bear the pain.
So it is wild though, like how totally different answers you'll get from different people.
Yeah, no, everyone's different.
Even it can even be like the same body part. Like one person thinks the foot was terrible, and another person was like, "Oh, that's the easiest."
When I do those 3-day sessions, it's always on a woman because they take pain better.
Yeah.
They sit there and fucking take it.
For them. See,
Yeah.
that's what everyone told me ribs were gonna hurt, but the ribs went numb, so I didn't mind it. But the second it got to right off your bottom rib and went to your stomach, that hurt.
So I was looking up tattoo ideas the other day, and then I got a social media ad for this cream that's like makes it way better. Supposedly, does that stuff actually work?
It's hit and miss with everyone else. Just a few weeks ago, Brady had a guy come in and he wrapped his whole thigh up. They did the session, and then he went to the emergency room the same night because he had lidocaine poisoning.
Oh,
Yeah, and it can make the skin leathery and tough to work on. It's not consistent at all.
So the cream made him like a reaction to it.
Yeah,
So you're saying you wouldn't recommend it?
no.
No, just toughen up.
Just bite the rag and
Pretty much.
just let it happen.
Your neck one didn't hurt bad.
Absolutely. It took 3 sessions. I couldn't sit there the whole time. 3 separate sittings.
You said the chest hurt bad.
It did. It hurts fucking bad.
just because it didn't hurt as much doesn't mean it didn't hurt.
Like I do feel like the neck would hurt a bit.
That was awful.
I feel like the arm would feel like not hurt.
The arms are the easiest place.
Okay.
So I have ribs, which I did first.
And your first tattoo always hurts the least because you're so fucking amped up. You just make these giant expectations. You're like, oh, okay.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Brings you back to reality
I feel like
a
I
little
was really hyped up.
Do your other ribs now.
Yeah. I'm fatter now, so it's just. At that point, I was actually kind of in shape. I feel like they're probably hitting on some ribs. Now, they're not probably touching the rib. Yeah, I'm like, fuck, I don't even feel it.
Did you do it?
Go
Was
on-
that
go
was
on
that a
ahead.
fake tattoo?
Yeah, do 2 of them.
Leak and hamburger helper.
Yeah. So, is there any like dream tattoos that you have that you would like to do one day? That like things that do you like draw stuff in the like now?
No. Not at all.
It's just always.
Hour in advance.
You draw it an hour in advance? Mm-hmm. I feel like you just say it like it's not a big
See, I was thinking about having a conversation with him about like planning out the rest of my arm, and now he's just gonna be like, "No, dude, you're."
You know what? The second you book, when you're supposed to be there an hour before, he'll have it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that was. I feel like I'm like the annoying ass client because I'm so like OCD on like what I want, like
That's fair.
how it's going to be, and like you can't ever picture what it's going to look like on you like until it's done, and it's like they could do like the iPad deal with some like picture or whatever, but realistically, like what it's going to turn out like is so hard.
Yeah.
And for something to be permanent and say, hey, I'm going to take up my whole entire arm that everyone's going to see. Like, I'm just a person, I want it very high quality. I want it a certain way. So, like, I'm sending stuff to Brady, like, all the time. But it's like, I can't find what I want, where it's located on my body. Trying to find these, like, random-ass tattoos that are somewhere else.
I like this part of this and this part of this.
He was
one.
probably like, stop fucking sending me shit, dude. And I'm like, and when we're doing it, he's like, well, you want me to throw this in over here? I'm like, no, that doesn't even match with what we're doing. And he like looked something up. I was like, no. I was like, I don't want can you just make that bigger? He's like, I don't know if that'll look right.
So say somebody's sitting home and they want to get into tattooing. Do you have any advice for them?
Don't do it.
Just don't.
Just don't fucking do it.
That person's listening to this podcast right now going, you know what? I don't need to order that Amazon kit.
Take it out of your
don't need to
cart,
get into
send it back.
I was wondering what an Amazon tattoo kit costs because I think I might just start practicing on Dre.
$40.
$40.
You know,
Wow.
You get everything: machine, inks, needles.
Once again, not the answer I was expecting. I was thinking like $200-300.
Oh, bro, we can get one with. Oh, this one comes like a full package deal. For $115, we can have a wireless gun with like hella needles too.
I like to share needles. Save money.
Oh yeah, we're in.
Hit him with a lighter.
With a-
Boys, people are gonna start getting free tattoos after the podcast.
So why would you say don't get into it?
No one's willing to wait the years it takes to actually build a brand and a style and everything else.
That's in everything though.
That's true.
That's
Everyone wants it now.
everyone wants it now, and I will say in business, we meet people all the time that want some get rich quick scheme, and it's like anybody that I know that is really successful in anything they do, none of it came overnight.
No.
And everyone thinks this success out there is this really short path because they see all these people out there that have done it over all the years. Like I was looking at Rob Dyrdek the other day on like everything he's done, and I'm sitting there thinking about when we're like little kids watching him when like Robin Big, and he was on a podcast and he's talking about like the early days to position him where he's at now. And it's like everyone wants where he's at right now. No one wants to picture from where he first started to what got him there. And it's like that's what I'm always like focusing on is where did someone start? Like same thing we watched Andy Frisell that owns Supplement Superstore and First Form in Utah speak on stage. And he's talking about for the first 10 years he made what, like 53 grand?
And I think that was like total.
Yeah, like total. And he was sleeping in the back. He's like, every person in my family, everyone was telling me to stop.
Yeah.
Dude's like a multi-billionaire now. Like he built a city in Haiti, like a city. Like, and he has done all these things, but it took so long. Think about 10 years of doing something where you're just every day putting in that work and you see a vision somewhere that nobody else sees. And it's hard a lot of times when you're speaking of that vision of where you're going and nobody else can see it.
I remember the day I quit Ford. I told my parents my dad was heartbroken that I gave up the health insurance, the steady pay, the comfortable lifestyle. He was beside himself.
What do your parents think now?
They get hooked the fuck up now. We took them to Mexico for Christmas. Got them new appliances and stuff, and yeah, no, they love it now.
But I think it is hard for a lot of times, like parents in today's world,
Yeah, for sure.
to see because they always want the best for their kids, and like they're never doing it out of like an ill place.
No.
And it's like I know that everything that we've done, like our dad, everything he has always done, and the way that he's got on to us about things were for the best of us. But it's like at those points, you're butting heads so hard, and you're like, they just don't want the fucking best for me. Like, I don't know why they can't see this.
Yeah.
But it's like, you're the only person with that roadmap in your head. You're the only person that sees the vision of how you're going to get there. You're the only one that can get you there. And it's like, your work is what's going to leverage you into that spot. And I think a lot of times when you talk about that just time that it takes, it's also showing up every day. It's being consistent with what you do. It's always moving forward, always progressing. And it's like, you can see the evolution of your tattoos from when you started till now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it took a year just for me to start a career of 7 days a week running on 4 hours of sleep. Just to start.
Yeah. And most people won't do that
because
it's uncomfortable. And it's so many people live in this comfort state that it's like, what if I'm going to go out and do something and it's going to be hard for me to pay my mortgage or pay my car payment or pay my bills?
You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
Yeah. And it's like, live hard now to where you live easy in the future.
And you're young now. You can rebalance now.
Yeah.
Everyone's taught, though, in school, you're taught to wake up at a certain time, and you're done by a certain time, go to a job, you're done, and that's it.
Yeah.
You're taught to be a robot.
It is. And that's like, I've talked to so many people that the podcast alone, they're like, why do you guys spend so much time on that? Because this is normally always outside of hours of our actual job that we're at and what we do.
Yeah.
And it's like, when we first started this, how many people like told us this was a terrible fucking idea? They're like, podcasting is cool, but like
everyone until the 26th episode.
But it's like, it even started taking wind out of my sail. I had this vision of what it could be, and then as I'm watching it progress, I'm like, maybe these people are fucking right. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't fucking do this. We are spending a lot of time doing it. And now it's progressed to something that I go places all the time. Somebody I don't even know. They're like, yeah, man, we watch your podcast all the time.
Yeah.
I have companies in different countries reach out to us. That they're like, hey, we listen to your podcast every week. We're so excited for it. Like,
I was at the DMV getting my truck licensed. And I was sitting there. I was talking to this lady. Actually, this is the best experience I've ever had at the DMV. Talking to this lady, she's actually very helpful, helping me out and everything. And she's like, I just have to ask. I'm like, she's like, this isn't on anything on your car. I'm like, can you guys like see like my driving record? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, are you part of Moss Marketing Group? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I listen to your guys' podcast every week. She's like, one of the companies you work with, I used to work with them. They're fantastic people. All this stuff. She's like, I love listening to that every week. She's like, it's one of my favorite things. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. But just something like that even though it's local, you get to hear local people's stories. Which
Absolutely.
I think is cool just because person 3 doors down from here may have one of the coolest stories on how they progressed in their industry, and no one will ever hear about it. So giving people the chance to give their story of how they got to where they're at, like yours, going from where you're at to where you're at now is, I'm not even going to say night and day because I feel like it's further past that.
Yeah.
but it's also like when you have, I've always wanted the podcast to be something that's for those people that know it's possible. That people can see that from listening to someone's story, saying like, hey, I remember when this dude was doing bad tattoos. I've seen his progression into what he does now. Like I've seen, like, it hasn't been all fucking sunshine. Like, because that's what people see online.
Absolutely.
And it's like, when we go through, when like Moss Marketing Group went through a rough time of like, we shifted a lot of things changed. Did anybody on the internet fucking know? No.
You don't advertise the bad times, yeah.
Exactly. Like, nobody does. To where it's like, that's not what people want to see. People want to see the positivity. That's what, that, it sells. Like, so that's what you're pushing all the time. But I wanted the podcast as something that is 200% real all the time.
Yeah.
Of, let's show what people's bad times looked like.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. That's not something to hide from.
No.
That's something to say, hey, I fucking conquered that and I got to where I'm at. And it's like, those are the stories I like, where it wasn't fucking all easy.
No.
It's not a yellow brick road straight to the house.
Yeah. And I think so many people have that misconception that must be nice. Like, I remember when I got my house at 22 years old. Growing up in Kearney, fucking people talk about everyone. They think they know everything about everyone else. And it's like, I had people that were fucking 50 years old posting, talking shit, making Facebook statuses like, must be nice dad buys you a fucking house. I'm like, they didn't see me coming home every fucking weekend in college, every single Wednesday and Thursday buying cars for the dealership, selling cars on Saturday, cleaning the dealership on Sunday, They didn't see when I got out of college where I worked 6 days a week, 12-hour days. Dre and I clean cars from 8 to midnight, Monday through Thursday. They didn't see all that. Oh, must be fucking nice. Like, but it was, there's nothing that irritates me more than those comments. And it's like, I'm somebody, I want success for everyone.
I feel like it's harder making some of yourself when you come from a family that is well off. Because, I mean, people automatically assume mommy and daddy did it.
Exactly. And it's always that way, but it's also people finding success. Like, I want you to be successful. I want fucking everybody I'm around. I want everyone to find success. And there's plenty of it to go around. And that's the biggest misconception is people think they have to bag on somebody else for them to find success. Until you can cheer for others, you will never find success.
No.
Like, cheer for others, be the biggest cheerleader for everyone else's success, and you will find it much easier because you'll find that you deserve it also.
I was talking to someone just the other day on this where someone had something very good happen to them, a good business deal fall in their lap. Like, it fell in their lap. And they're like, dude, can you believe that? I'm like, dude, I'm pumped for them. I'm like, I wish that would fall in my lap. I'm like, if it did, I would grab the reins and take it full speed. I'm like, good for them.
Yeah.
But it's not sitting there going, wow, they didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there, at the end of the day, like, you surround yourself with success, you'll be successful.
Yeah, and
if you do that, it works in any industry.
That's the hardest part, too. As you're coming up and people stay the same, you lose a lot of friends.
very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think when that happens, though, I do think a lot of times people fall into this trap that it's like almost kind of a forgetting where they came from kind of deal, where it's like, I'm not better than anyone else because I've made money or whatever I've done. Are there certain people that just really do not fit? If I have a friend that doesn't make the money or anything, but has great positivity and is just a great fucking person, like, I'm still great friends with them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But there are certain people you start seeing negative sides to people.
I feel like they're owed something.
100%.
I was there when you started. And
But it's also they start like,
I know I doubted you the entire time until you got here, but I was there.
I tried to stop you 12 times.
but it's also funny when you have that, and as you start seeing how your mind like kind of works differently as you're open to things, you take that accountability on everything. There's people out there that still can't take accountability for anything, and then it's like they start almost like having this despite towards you, thinking like life has just treated you better.
my thing is things don't happen to you. They happen because of you or for you. And it's nothing happens to you. Like no one's shitting on you. Life isn't just shitting on you.
No. But I will say, the more success you find, the longer the line of those haters becomes. That it was something like, it was a hard bridge for me to cross to like really start putting ourselves out there all the time.
Yeah.
Like we have 2 reels go up every single day across every platform. Like we were everywhere.
There's that sense of guilt. Like,
no, it's I wouldn't even say that. I've had more people in the last year reach out and like hate on me
yeah.
on things that we're doing than I have in the first fucking 27 years of my life. But it's
That's
like
saying something.
But it's funny, the people that will reach out that are bagging on, how can you tell people about success and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fucking look at what I've done at 28. Like, and it's not saying it in a cockier way.
No, absolutely.
I work my ass off and I want to help other people. And then they'll like reach out. I'm like, you're unemployed.
Yeah.
Like, go find a job before you, like,
Yeah.
But it's
The government's still paying me, though.
But it's like the largest boos come from the cheapest seats. And it's one of those things, I don't have anybody that's successful reaching out to me fucking bagging on what we do. Because with the amount of people that reach out and talk shit, there's a group that's 10 times larger reaching out, complimenting on us like what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing. Like, I guarantee you, as you've progressed and got larger, there's probably a lot of the hate that comes to you now is probably within the tattoo industry.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But it's going to be like, oh, why are they turning away a fucking hour-long tattoo, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Like, and they're going to fault your business model. They're going to come after everything you do, but it's because they're jealous of what you've built.
Absolutely.
So it's just something I think always comes with anything that you do. And I think if people can adjust that one part of their mindset of just be happy for other people finding success, it really becomes a lot easier to find it for yourself.
Yeah.
So, what do you, minus the real estate, what do you see the tattoo space? Do you see everything just pretty much similar in the next 5 years? Do you see?
I don't see much changing.
No?
No. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
You're pretty dialed in, I feel like, where you're at right now.
I mean, there's always room for improvements and stuff, changing business models and stuff. And I'm constantly doing something different. But as a whole, yeah.
Business-wise, like business model-wise, what do you see, if any, change?
Just small things like start time, start end, how much deposits are, how many days a week I'm willing to do, what projects I'm willing to take on, stuff like that. But as a whole, it's pretty as good as it gets.
What was the best move that you made business wise? Like, what did you see the most growth with?
Saying no. Just saying no to people. I don't want to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Doing more of what I wanted to do.
And then you're probably putting out stuff that's better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then getting
Not
more
necessarily better,
referrals.
just stuff that's not everyone does.
Yeah. Makes it more unique, getting more referrals for that type of work.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty hard thing for a lot of people to accept, is saying no.
Yeah.
And I think some people never figure that out in their whole entire life.
Trusting their gut and just going with it, yeah.
And that can go into personal life, that can be business, it can be anything. That I think there's some people that just run ragged that any person that ever hangs out with them, that wants to hang out with them, they say yes to. It doesn't have to be yes to everybody. Same thing when we've had a lot of people reach out to us about being on the podcast. I don't say yes to everyone.
No, yeah.
And it's like, it's going to be one of those things that continues to get larger as it goes. But we've had to learn to start saying no to clients. That if I don't believe in the business owner, I'm not going to take it on as an account.
No.
We can't. And it hurts the image that we're building. It hurts our reputation if we take somebody on, then they go under. Oh, yeah, your marketing went fucking great.
Yeah.
It's not fair to us, and it's not fair to them.
Yeah. So I think that saying no is a huge, huge
It absolutely is.
thing that has to come into people's vocabulary at some time. And almost it's just as dominant as yes. So normally when we wrap up the podcast and we get towards the end, one of the questions I always like to ask everyone is, what would you go back and tell your 20-year-old self right now?
Stop the drugs. Wear a condom.
Yeah.
That was a big one. Fuck, honestly, not much.
You don't think so?
Everything led up to where I am now.
Yeah.
But you did tell someone if they're thinking about getting into tattooing,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
But
mostly no, because no one's willing to put in the work.
But yes, if they are willing to put in the work. And
Everyone thinks they're willing to.
Until it's time to
Until
put
it
it
gets
in.
tough.
I
yeah.
agree with that.
And it's also, I think that is a very unique thing, that is a skill level that not everybody has. That you can take somebody that is just not artistic at all,
Yeah.
that has no artistic ability, and no matter how much work they put in, they will never be able to unlock that side of their brain to become good at art.
I don't believe anyone's naturally good at anything. I feel like everything's very much learned. And
I do feel that in the creative side, though, there is a trigger in people's heads that, like, people can visualize stuff
people think differently. Absolutely.
And I will say there's some people that just don't have a creative side that, like, we're learning it right now with content creation.
Yeah.
There's some people that fucking see it.
Yeah.
And there's some people that I've watched edit and stuff. I'm like, they just don't see it.
And no, that's true. Because, I mean, I get clients that will send me references and stuff that they think this is awesome. And it's dog shit. And I'm like, do you really think this is good? People think different.
But it's also like, what level of creative in their head is what, like, because the level of creativity in your head to what's in my head, completely different.
But I think you also can build on it. Because 3 years ago, my creativity level compared to now, and you can build on it.
But I still feel like it's something that somebody has to possess.
That's fair.
Like,
But
and I may totally be wrong.
No, yeah.
It's also building on it. Like, if you look at our videos from 2 years ago to now,
That's because I'm not doing them anymore.
But
We have people that are way more creative than me doing them.
But still, when everyone else looked in, you're like, we killed it. And then now looking at it, it's like the videos you look at now are much better than what we were putting out before.
Yeah.
But it's still, you're like, oh, well, that
Your
could be
standard
changed.
of good changes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. But that's normally like what we kind of come to the end with. Any final questions, Ricky, Dre, Austin? Any final thoughts?
When's your next booking session open?
The 1st of May.
1st of May.
Yep, that's for December.
And then where can people find you on social?
It's just Ink by Austin on Instagram.
Facebook?
Yep, Ink by
LinkedIn.
Austin, everything.
All,
Everything.
all
Everything.
platforms.
Yep,
Got
all
it, got
platforms.
them all.
That's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It is.
Yeah.
That's rare.
It is.
You don't have the same thing across all
Yeah,
platforms.
when I started MMG, I thought that we could catch MMG everywhere. I said, fuck no.
Nope.
It's Moss Marketing.
3 letters, not happening.
I don't know why I thought that was going to happen, but I never researched it before that. I think that is it. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Like I said, I think that you do amazing work now. I think you have an amazing story of what has gotten you to here, and I think nothing but more is going to happen. And I think that you are killing it in this space, and I feel like you're also a much younger person in the space.
Yeah.
So keep doing what you're doing. Keep making it happen. Keep doing your thing, and I think that's going to wrap it up. So I'm going to end. Oh, I saw Ricky like lean over.
No, I'm waiting for you to see Dalton.
He's super jelly because he likes being that person.
No, I'm excited for him.
But I'm going to say Key Dalton. That's M3 Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.